Welcome to Road Ahead Talks, powered by Jio Events, knowledge partner Sciative. We rise right. Today, we have the distinct honor of hosting a true visionary in the field of pricing, Dr. Mark Stiving, a speaker, coach, and consultant. Mark has worked with esteemed companies such as Cisco, PNG, Grimes Aerospace, Rogers Corporation, as well as many small businesses and entrepreneurial ventures. Mark has earned his PhD degree in pricing from UC Berkeley. He's the founder of Impact Pricing LLC and is helping companies unravel hidden value and more profits. He's the author of three highly acclaimed books, including Impact Pricing, Your Blueprint for Driving Profits, Win, Keep, Grow, How to Price and Package to Accelerate Your Subscription Business, in Selling Value, How to Win More Deals at Higher Prices. His forthcoming book is Invincible Profits, How to Lead a Value Revolution and Dominate Your Market. Thank you, Mark, for joining us today and sharing your views and thoughts with our audience.
Oh, thanks, Anshu. Nice introduction. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I am truly intrigued by the title of your new upcoming book, Invincible Profits. Tell us more about this.
Okay, it is still a work in progress, so I haven't released it or haven't finished writing it yet. But here's the reason that I have this book is everything I do in pricing nowadays pretty much revolves around understanding how buyers perceive the value of our products, almost always. And as I work with different companies, I found that almost nobody understands what value means. Right? My third book, Selling Value, was about teaching salespeople how to sell the value of a product. Well, salespeople should know how to do that, but they don't even know what the value of their product is. As pricing people, we focus on value-based pricing all the time. So we're always trying to figure out what's the value of our product to our customer. What's a customer willing to pay for our product? So we have this unique perspective that says we understand value. But once we can price it, can salespeople sell the value so that they can get the price that we thought they should get? And now, if you take it back a step in the company, do marketing people even understand what value means? When they build our websites or put out marketing programs, are they talking about our features or are they talking about the value from the perspective of the customer? And then we can take it back another step and we say, hey, it's not only marketing, but it's the people who are building our products. Are they building products that truly have value to our customers? Or are they building products that somebody complained about and this was the squeaky wheel, or we think this is a cool feature, we should go build this? There are lots of reasons why people build products, but wouldn't it be great if they built them because they understood the value to the customer? And these are the things that are the most valuable. So if we think about that, everybody in the company should be thinking about what's value to the customer mean. And yet almost nobody understands that. And that's what this entire book is about. It's about what is value. And if you're a leader in a company, how do you ask different departments the right questions? What are the expectations of different departments? How do you get the entire culture of the company to shift towards customer value?
Wow. You raise a fantastic point, which is about building a culture in the company where everyone in the company understands what value is for the customers. Now, have you noticed any shift in the way organizations are thinking about this subject? Because the subject of pricing is as old as the time since commerce has existed. Yes, companies in the older times were doing cost-based pricing, then they moved to competition-based pricing, and now many companies understand that they need to be value-based pricing. And have you noticed any changes in the way companies are approaching this subject? Are they using more customer insights? Are they using more technology? How do you see this thing changing uh, in comparison to how it was a decade ago? And how do you see this changing in times to come?
Yeah, without a doubt, some companies are moving more towards understanding their customers better. But even the companies that I think are doing a decent job, they think about value-based pricing, and they probably have the right attitude towards value-based pricing. They still haven't figured out how to articulate how their customers perceive value. It feels like this magic box that I've never run into somebody who actually understands that and can articulate it well. And so it's pretty funny. We often come up with these little anecdotes that say, "Hey, this is how I'm going to articulate value to this customer," or I ran into this customer who said, "Oh, this is what you're doing for me," and that's brilliant, right? That's absolutely what they want to do. But have they created or collected a whole lot of these stories? Do they know all the different places where their customers might be getting value from their product? And so when a salesperson goes in and talks to a potential buyer, that buyer says, "Oh, here's the problem I'm dealing with," that automatically should be recognizable to the salesperson. And the salesperson can then move on and say, "Oh, well, what kind of result are you looking for? How much more money are we going to make you if we solve this problem?" And so it surprises me that people don't understand value in a way that their customers think about value.
So you also mentioned a scenario where there is a direct connect between the sales force in the organization and the customers, and there is an exchange of information, exchange of dialogue happening, and a lot of data is getting collected in the process. There are also many scenarios where companies are not directly connected with their customers. They could be either selling through distributors, they could be selling through their own online channels, or they could be selling through a retail network. Some companies could also be in consumer products where they're primarily selling through modern commerce channels, in which case they do not have direct connect with the customers, but they have access to huge amount of data which tells us something about customers. One of the biggest data point they have is their sales pattern. Sometimes they know the demographic details of their customers. Sometimes they understand their browsing behavior. Companies are spending a lot of effort in collecting competition intelligence also. How is all of this data improving companies' approaches towards value-based pricing? Are
Yeah,
companies able to do it properly? Are they doing proper justice to this?
yeah, I love that question. So let's assume for a second that we can't interact individually with our individual buyers. And so the question becomes, what's the message and how do we put it out? Where's the message going to go out? So how are we going to do our marketing, our N equals many, or how do we send out a message to a whole bunch of different people? Well, we have two different decisions we have to make there. One decision is, what's the message going to be? And the other decision is, where are we going to put the message? And so when I think about value, what we have to have done is, in this case, we actually have to go do a bunch of market research. We have to go talk to a lot of people. We have to find out what are the actual problems they're trying to solve. And when we find out what the problems are they're trying to solve, there's some people who want to solve this problem. There are other people who want to solve a different problem. For the sake of argument, let's make up something. Let's talk about toothpaste, right? Toothpaste, I'll give you two problems that we're trying to solve with toothpaste. I'll give you three problems we're trying to solve with toothpaste. One is, I want whiter teeth so that I can be more attractive to people I want to date. Another is, I want to get rid of my bad breath. Another is, I want to minimize the amount of cavities I get. Right? So all three of these are problems that I might want to solve, and that's why I buy toothpaste. Now, you have one of those three that are on top of your mind. One of those three resonates with you. And so that's the problem I want to get in front of you as I start messaging. So how do I know where that goes? Well, that message goes, I find out what are the type of people that are like you. And now if I want to use that demographic information or psychographic information to figure out what magazines do you read, what websites do you go to, what podcasts do you listen to, and I say, oh, it's highly correlated with this, that's going to help me find the direction I want to go. But notice that it revolves around the problem. Notice that what I'm talking about is always, what's the problem our buyer is trying to solve? That's where the value comes from.
Wow, what you make an excellent point. Rather than focusing on your product, figure out what is the problem you're solving for your clients, what uh, information client is seeking to solve that problem. Are you present at the right place for the right reasons? And can you tell your story not in terms of your product and features, but in terms of solving the problem client is facing? I think that's an amazingly powerful message.
Thanks. Can I toss something in real quickly?
Yes.
Um, so I love this example. If I listed a bunch of computer features to you and said, "Hey, is this a good computer? Do you want to buy this computer?" You're probably smart enough and experienced enough to say, "Yeah, I want this one. This is a good one. No, I don't want this one." But imagine that your grandfather, who's never owned a computer before, goes into Best Buy, and the Best Buy salesperson starts listing features of gigabytes and terabytes and right graphics cards, and your grandfather's sitting there going, "What the heck are you talking about?" Would have absolutely no idea. And so if we take that example, what that really tells us is there's a difference between experts and non-experts.
Mhm.
Experts can hear your features and they know what problems it solves for them, and they can probably figure out what results they might be able to get. Now, by the way, they're not going to be as good at it as we are because we know our product way better, but they're still going to be pretty good at it. Non experts hear your features and have no idea what that means. And so we just go back to our toothpaste example for a second. We could put on our tube or we could advertise or market to people, hey, we put, and I apologize, I don't know what I'm talking about now. We put hydrochlorox in our toothpaste. And you're like, yes, so what? And it turns out, well, that's a whitening agent, I hope, right? I don't know. But if you were an expert, you would say, oh, got it. That's going to help me whiten my teeth. But if you're not an expert, you're thinking, what the heck is this? I don't really need it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so many times we come across scenarios where companies that have made incredible products, especially startups, they are so crazy about the solution they have built, they forget that the end customer might be not as educated as themselves, and they go on at length talking about this amazing solution they have built, not realizing that they need to talk in the language of the customer. With some customers, as you very rightly pointed out, it would make sense to talk about product features in gigabytes, terabytes, megahertz, and different types of video cards. But with others, it might be as simple as, hey, here is an amazing quality video call you can do with your grandson. Wow, that's an amazingly powerful message. Uh, so it seems that the role of artificial intelligence and automation is increasing tremendously in this whole arena, because if you are not directly connected with the customers and you have to figure out customer behavior looking at the data, it points out that we now need data experts. What are your thoughts on this?
Boy, what a huge question that is. Aren't you? So there's tons of thoughts. First off, if you are in the B2C type business, you have tons of transaction data. You would better have data scientists on your team, right? Absolutely, you need to be crunching that number, finding out what is really going on, and you're going to find insights that you never thought you would find. But that said, it's not good enough. So I'm going to go back to the toothpaste example. I don't know where I came up with toothpaste because I've never talked about it before. But we're going back to the toothpaste example. You are Colgate. And if you've got all of this data that says, hey, when it's packaged this way and it's on this shelf space and it's priced at this and my competitor's priced there and it has to be Memorial Day weekend and blah, 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 then this is an optimal price point. And all of that is brilliance, right? You have to be thinking that way. But nothing I just said talked about who wants to whiten their teeth, who wants to not get cavities, who wants to make their breath better, right? None of that talked about the problem. what we deal with in the world of AI is all we can deal with is what is the data that we have? What's the data that we've collected? And so there's insights in that data, and you need to be focused on that. You need to understand it. But you also need to go back to, let's call it first principles, and understand what's the value to your customer. And you can layer your own insight on top of that to say, this is what really matters. And here's how I can use what AI has told me to help figure out the next actions that we want to go do.
How important is speed in the whole landscape?
Um, so I'm not sure that there's an easy answer to that question. I think that sometimes it's extremely important, right? How many times have you said, hey, I want to go buy something? You might have reached out to 2 or 3 different vendors. One of them got back to you almost immediately, and you just said yes, and you bought. You didn't wait for the other ones. And so in that case, if that's the type of situation or the type of buyer's journey that your buyers are going through, speed's crucial, right? You need to be there. You need to be the first one with an offer, with a price, go make it happen. But on the other hand, there are some deals where we've got a committee of buyers and they're going to spend 3 months figuring out what they want to buy. Speed is not important, right? What's really important there is, do we truly understand what's going on with our customer base?
Absolutely right. So if the decision taking time is going to be fairly long, my speed really does not matter. It's the speed at which the customer will take the decision. That's what is more important. So in case my customer is taking decisions at a very fast pace, my speed of taking decisions should match up to my customers. Will that be a fair statement to make?
I think that's a very fair statement. And let me modify what I said just a little bit. We always want to be responsive to our customers, always. And so I have a policy that any of my customers that reach, or any buyer, anybody who reaches out to me, I try to respond to them within a day, always. So even if it's a really long sales cycle, it doesn't matter. They get a response within a day. And the response could be, hey, thanks for the inquiry. I don't have a chance to get back to you, but I'll get back to you by early next week. Right. But at least I responded and they know that I care.
I have experienced that myself, even for my request for this road ahead talks. Your response was very fast. Within few hours of sending my message to you, I got the response back from you, and I truly appreciate that.
No, you're very welcome.
Wonderful. Now, uh, see the amount of data companies are collecting and the way they're making use of this data. This has gone up drastically. I mean, if you look at the last 1 decade, definitely there has been a huge change in this. Now, companies are having teams of data scientists, data engineers to make sense of a lot of this data. How is the next decade going to look like? Do you see more emphasis on collecting more data or more emphasis on making more sense of the data that is already existing? Are companies truly leveraging the data that they are collecting, or they're still trying to figure out how to make use and sense of this data?
So first, let me make a quick caveat. I have a perfect record at predictions, and that is they're almost never right. So I'm going to make a prediction, take the other side. But my opinion is there are two types of companies that are going on. There's the type of company that currently has a ton of data and they're using a lot of data scientists. And so for these companies, what matters to them more is, how do I gather more data? How do I get more variety of data points into my data set? Because then they're going to be able to make better decisions. For example, we talked earlier about the difference between distribution and timing and pricing and competition versus value. Well, what if they could find some value data points that they could get into their data set? That would dramatically change the way their business operates, the decisions they could make. That would be huge to them. On the other hand, there's a ton of companies, specifically in B2B companies or smaller B2C companies, where they don't have a ton of data. And so they've never spent time with data scientists. They don't really have a bunch of data scientists. And what we would do with those companies is say, look, as more and more data becomes available, as you can correlate what you do with what's happening in the outside world and data sets we could collect, all of a sudden data science becomes more important to them than collecting the data. And so I think it's really that it depends on the type of company we're talking about as to which one of those two really matter, where the future is going to look like for those two. But both sides, more data, better analytics, both of those are going to happen across the industry.
Great. Now, we are also noticing another trend, which is towards automation and putting less emphasis on people expertise and more emphasis on automation and tool-based expertise because of multiple reasons. We see cost is one huge factor because uh, people costs are very high and there is a steep learning curve also that's associated with uh, new people coming in and adjusting to the company's culture. Uh, and also the paradigm is changing so fast that the expertise that you develop at one point of time uh, may not be most relevant in the next few years. So it's we have seen this emphasis coming up with lots of companies where they want to take more of a process and automation driven approach than people driven approach. People more from the point of view of working on number crunching in data sciences, not on the customer facing side. Definitely we need people to make sense of interactions with customers and take the right decisions. What are your thoughts and takes on this?
So I think the answer is very similar to when we talk about AI, and that is automation is something that we can do if we've got a process. And so if you think about the fact that I've collected a ton of data, and so I now know that on Memorial Day weekend, we need a price increase or price decrease, whatever it happens to be, then I can automate that process without having a person say, hey, let's go raise price, let's go lower price. So from that perspective, I could do all that. But notice once again, I haven't included how does my customer make decisions around value. And so that's the piece that's hugely missing from the automation story. I personally feel that companies who learn how their customers value their products can get the huge competitive advantage. But and so let me say it differently, right? One company in your industry is going to figure out what value means to your customers, and that company is going to win. So here's the question: is that company going to be you, or is it going to be somebody else? You can automate pricing all day. You can gather tons of data analytics all day. And what you're doing is you're saying, I can be faster, more effective, more efficient at pricing if nothing changes in the marketplace. What's changing in the marketplace, and how are you going to take advantage of those changes for your own company?
Yes. So basically, what we are saying is companies that understand customers and customer behavior would be the ultimate winners. And the companies that figure this piece out faster will have greater chances of winning. So potentially there is also a use case of applying advanced data science and artificial intelligence in better understanding customers itself. Have you noticed any good practices or any behavioral patterns in companies where companies are putting more emphasis on understanding customers through AI rather than just taking AI based decisions?
I have not seen that yet. I am looking forward to it. And if somebody knows of it, please let me know. I'm very, very curious. I'd love to see more. And as I thought about the answer I just gave you, Anshu, and you re-articulated it, let me add a little bit of a caveat, and that is that I think that if you are in the type of market where AI truly matters in terms of making the process faster, more efficient, more effective, then you have to do the data science side, right? Just understanding customers isn't enough because you're going to lose on the efficiency side. But assuming that you can do the efficiency side, then if you can layer on the value side, now you have a leg up.
Yes. That's such an amazing insight. So the combination of two, where we are improving our processes, where it adds value to the whole value chain, uh, be it in terms of figuring out customer needs or being able to increase the speed of decision making through proper use of AI. That's one part of the story. And the second part of the story is applying AI to figure out customer behavior. I think that's a wonderful insight for our audience. Um, any advice you would like to have for senior business leaders in terms of what kind of capabilities and systems they should build for taking their companies forward in the journey of growth and profitability over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh my gosh. You asked the hardest questions, Anshu. Um, so the problem with answering that is it depends on the state of where the company is today. So I would say if you are in the type of company where you don't have much data, then I would be thinking, how is it that we could gather more data that was meaningful so we could make good decisions? I would say if your company's in the state where you have a ton of data, but you haven't done great analytics, you don't have great data scientists, then you should be focusing on how do we get some data science so we can make sense of this analytics, make better decisions. And then for every company, I would say start thinking more about your customers and how they're making purchase decisions. What are those problems they're solving? Now, some of those we might be able to layer into the data science. We might be able to layer into the AI side of this. Some of those we won't, and that's okay, right? We still have great insights that we can make brilliant decisions on because we understand our customers better. One of my favorite sayings is buyers trade money for value. And that's it, right? Buyers trade money for value. The only reason you ever buy something is you think you get more value for it than you pay for. And if we as companies don't understand the value that we're delivering to customers, then how do we expect them to pay us? So which buyers, how much money, what value?
Wow, this is a fantastic tip for the business leaders. They need to emphasize on three things. If I may paraphrase what you just said, A, emphasize on collecting the right data about your company, about your business, about your customers. B, apply data science, maybe through building a solid data science capabilities in your organization to make sense of the data. And third place where they need to emphasize in the road ahead is to understand customers better by applying again database insights to truly understand how customer behavior is shaping up, what exactly they are looking for, and what can you do with your products and service to best meet their needs. This is a wonderful tips. Thank you, Mark, so much for your wonderful time and inputs. I'm sure our audience would make amazing notes from the conversation today and possibly reach out to you for more tips on this. And with that note, thank you so much for taking out time today, and we truly appreciate your inputs. Thank you so much.
Uh, Anshu, before we go, can I offer something to your listeners? Is that okay?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah. So if they were to go to the website, impactpricing.com/sciative, so hopefully you know how to spell that since they're your listeners. If you were to go to that website, you would find several different gifts that I'm offering you if you'd like. One is a framework that I use all the time called Valuable Features. And it's a way to get you to start thinking about specific value to specific customers for specific features. There's also a link you could subscribe to my newsletter, And if you'd like a discovery call with me, there's a link there that you can get a discovery call. So that's impactpricing.com/Sciative. And Anshu, thank you so much. Or maybe I shouldn't thank you because those questions were really, really hard. But it was a fun conversation. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been an honor to have this conversation with you today, and we look forward to more such conversations in the future. Thank you so much.